My experience of build versus buy always comes down to, do you trust that there's a better organization or a better person or a better agency to understand your need as well as you do?
As more and more tools hit the market for every industry and every role, there are tens of thousands of options out there just for tools alone. But then you'll reach a point where you buy so many different tools. How do you keep them connected? Integration is becoming a bigger and bigger issue for so many businesses.
Sometimes there's a native integration, sometimes there's not. Sometimes that native integration is not as good as you wish it to be.
Which is where that question of like build versus buy comes up. When you reach that point where you have to ask yourself, does it make more sense as an organization to build an integration internally, or
Right.
is there a solution out there to connect all of these different tools?
Unless you have a dedicated team that is responsible for always updating those integrations, always making them up to date, always updating new capabilities, and understanding like natively what tools they're working with, the question shouldn't even be asked.
What do you think are the key deciding factors then for buying? Do you think it just comes down to, say, the size of the organization?
I think the size of the organization has something to do with it. Do you prioritize creation of value for what you as a company specialize in? Do you prioritize your development resources to creating new value added product for your consumers and for your clients? Or do you prioritize your dev resources to some form of like internal optimization, which to some extent can be considered as also adding potential technical debt, right?
But how do you assess the return on investment of, say, adding new tools versus building them in-house? What factors do you consider to make sure that your decisions then align with strategic goals?
I think it really comes down to having a bit of a pragmatic small committee discussion. Let's just take a concrete example. An integration for like a voice of the customer kind of NPS tool with our CRM. We met with a team on each side. We had some technical expertise as well. We made the estimation of how much work that was going to be. And then we looked at how much work that was going to be on the other side with an integration team. And it was very simple, right? Which one was the quickest, the more complete, and the cheapest option for us, and especially when it comes to CRM integration, the answer is most often not to build it internally. There's also a consideration of what happens after the integration is built, right? I think a lot of people would look at integrations, they're like, yeah, well, it's integrated, now it's done. That's not the case. There's a lot of stuff happening after, right? API changes, API response changes, there's technical debt that comes.
The incentives are sort of misaligned. When you buy a product, the incentive of the company delivering the product is to keep you as a customer, so giving you the features that you request. Whereas if you've built your own product, there may be requests for features that the team in charge of maintaining it just won't prioritize because they have other priorities.
Yeah, 100%. As you learn to use that product and you optimize that integration, over time, your needs are going to evolve and likely they're going to grow. The other aspect is also changing tools. When you build an integration, it's almost like you're buying a car. So if you have a partner where you can kind of do this as a service, then you're in a much more job position to grow, change, update, evolve based on your need. I think the challenge with building yourself is that it really corners you into protecting that investment. And that's just not, I think, up to date with kind of the world that we live in now.